What's up, cyberspace? Zero Style, back once again. I've got a little bit of a different episode for you this week. I got a comment that asked for a collection tout. You asked for it, you got it, friends. So strap in, this episode is going to be hella long. So I decided originally that I was going to do one of those trolly little videos where I kept changing what was in the pouch, and then I realized that that wasn't fair. I should actually use a legit pouch that I can hold my entire collection in. This is the Podium Sling by Podium Syndicate. We've got a row of loop here and a big loop field that has a sweet double reaper embroidery pattern. These are all by my boy Charlie McCoy of Podium Syndicate. These are his two patches right here, that sinking feeling, the V1 and the V3, the Terminator. We've got a collab between Justin Koch of Koch Tools and Inkpot Artworks, his little gnat guy. Then we've got the Inkpot Jaw and my own Bloodbath Vandal Eye Zero Graffiti patch. On the trolley side over here, from my original idea, we've got that Data Crew Star Trek Wars or Star Wars Trek? I can never remember. We've also got the Skeletor Keck, a little bit of trolliness by Zero Feud, and I am surrounded by assholes. Darth Helmet from Casa de Legmo Design. Ugh, I gotta sit down. This pouch is stuffed to the brim, like literally, because if I'm going to fit my entire collection into one thing, you gotta know, it's gotta be stuffed. So, on this comes a nice little zipper pull that is 3D printed by Podium. And it's also got this Ranger Eye that is permanently attached, sewn on. That is another little Podium logo. So let's take a peek at what we've got in the pouch this week. Literally bursting with my entire collection of gear. You wanted to see it all? You're going to see it all. I hope you're ready. Not sponsored, but, you know, stay hydrated. It's important, for real. And a little bit of bubbles mixed with some lime makes for a good time. And if there's going to be marketing that has been directly targeted to me and my generation, it's liquid death, so I'm a victim of Thirst Massacre. So how should I do this? I'm not even really sure how I should go about doing this pouch dump. Alright, so let's start with flashlights. This is my Hank light. This is a copper D4 V2 flashlight. This is an 18350 battery light that has amber secondary set into it with an amber recessed button here. It is a side switch activated light. Give it one press and it comes on. You can do two presses and it will ramp up or ramp down brightness. It's light in here, so it's not going to be easy to see the difference here. This is by far my brightest flashlight. This thing goes up to 3,000 lumens. This is the kind of thing that I would bring on my trips out into the woods in the evening. Can we do a little palm brightness test here? This is moonlight mode here. This is turbo. So yeah, my Hank light. The copper D4 V2 flashlight. First up. Second up, one of my first real EDC grail kind of acquisitions is the Prometheus Lights Beta QR flashlight, also in copper. This is a twist to deploy flashlight, which is not nearly as easy to do one-handed as the Hank light is, but it's manageable. You twist it on and off, back and forth, and it will increase brightness between 3 modes. I think it goes up to 85 lumens. Now, the patina on this is not natural. I forced this patina with a dip in some liver of sulfur. I keep thinking I should make a video on that. So, what makes the Beta QR QR stands for quick release, which is the system that they have here on the end for attaching and detaching it. I assume that this is supposed to be for putting it onto your keys or something, but I've just generally put a big beefy lanyard on it and then hung that out of the corner of my pocket so it's easy to pull out. I paired that up with a bead here from Butterfield Machine, a friend of mine. Very nice, simple little copper bead to complete this aesthetic. Unscrew it the other way. You can reveal that this is a AAA flashlight. Always use rechargeable batteries in your AA, AAA lights. It will make a lot of difference both in your wallet and in the environment. So the Prometheus lights, beta QR. Up next, we've got the OD Green Special Edition Olight i3T EOS. This is a, once again, AA flashlight. That is a tail switch this time. Give this a click here on the back and it goes on and off once again. If you do it 1, 2, 3 real fast, it will switch between high, medium, and low brightness, just like the Prometheus. This is a pretty nice little light. It's got a reversible deep carry double-ended clip, so you could clip this to your hat or something like that if you wanted to get a hands-free with this. But it's also a decently deep carry light. There's a pretty big bend up, but it's still going to stick out quite a bit from your pocket. I was not super impressed by the longevity of the finish on this. I was banging around with my pair of 3 in my pocket and scratched it up. They were both clipped into my pocket at the same time. A little disappointing, but it's a pretty good light. I don't carry it a lot because I'm not a big fan of tail switch lights. But yes, the Olight i3T EOS AAA flashlight, number 3. Up next, from Reylight, this is the Pineapple Mini in copper. This is a real deep carry clip here. Check it out. The tail switch just barely sticks out of the top of your pocket when it's hanging out. Once again, this is another AAA battery sized flashlight. Screw it on here on the front. Then your tail switch allows you to 1, 2, 3 between your different brightness modes. This guy goes up to about 120. Out of the last 3 lights, I think it is just slightly the brightest of the 3. Quick little size comparison, those 3 lights. Very similar in size and footprint, but compare that to the Hank light, it's quite a different story compared to the Hank light. Just like battery size, brightness is also completely linearly impacted by the size of these lights. Switch it up to a smaller form factor and rechargeable lights. This is my rovyvan Aurora A8 Pro UV edition. Got that paired up with a Playge and Koch Sacred Terror skull. This one is titanium, with a beautiful polished finish on it. I think it's Zerblast before it was polished. This guy is a micro USB rechargeable light. Works okay. So give this a single press and it switches into UV mode. There is a single brightness, nothing else to this light. It directly does UV light. This is perfect for charging glow-in-the-dark gear. These flashlights are cheap and affordable. They come with a bunch of different LED options. You don't need to get the UV edition. If you'd like a small pocket-sized flashlight like this that actually had light that you could use regularly, they make those. But this is the UV edition. Triple tap it and you go into lantern mode. This is the only regular non-UV LED mode on this light, and it's made for, just like it sounds like, being a little lantern to hang there and help you out. This thing is primarily used, as I said, for charging glow-in-the-dark stuff, finding scorpions, looking for blood in a hotel bathroom, or whatever other CSI nonsense you want to try and pretend that you're going to do with this light. But yeah, the rovyvan Aurora A8 Pro UV flashlight. And then my all-time favorite light. Where is it in here? There's so many different things in here. Where is it? Here it is. This is the Nitecore Tiki Glow-in-the-Dark Edition with the OEG One-Eyed Ghost Bead. Now, the difference about this guy, it is also a micro USB rechargeable flashlight with a clear body, a side button, a big chunky bead on the back, has the word Glow-in-the-Dark Edition in the name. But when you press this guy, he switches, that's the max brightness of 300 lumens, but we give it a double tap, we go into the lowest moonlight setting. 1, 2, 3 different levels of brightness. Triple tap this guy. Goes into side UV LED mode. Now, this is dual purpose. If you just do this for a second, you'll notice the shell itself is UV reactive and glows green. But as the same with the other one, you could use this to charge glow-in-the-dark stuff, or look for scorpions, or whatever other weird, wacky UV stuff that you want to be doing. It is definitely a cool little flashlight. Some people have been complaining in the comments on my other videos that they got a dud. Just contact Nitecore and have them get you a replacement. They are not expensive flashlights, and there's bound to be some that are not perfect. Quality control might be a little weird, but I've had this one. I use it all of the time, not every single day, but 5 or 6 times a week. So yes, the Nitecore Tiki glow-in-the-dark edition, favorite flashlight. To round off our section of flashlights in this pouch. All right, where do we go next? How about just other gear next? These are my favorite nail clippers. These are from Three Swords Beauty. Just a very nice, very sharp pair of traditional nail clippers with a one-eyed ghost bead once again. This is the original 3D printed granite-looking edition bead. I don't think I need to tell you why you should have a pair of nail clippers. They're just a good thing to have with you sometimes. If your nails are getting long, if you're going to be going out for a while, if you have a dop kit where you want to have grooming accessories, I totally suggest that you carry one of these with you in those situations. A nice pair of nail clippers can save the day, especially if you're a nail biter. And I am not anymore because I carry this with me on the regular. You saw this in my last video, but we're going to show it again, obviously, because we're doing everything. This is the bigidesign EDC wrench. This is a adjustable wrench. You kind of just spin this little thing here. You can see that the plate on the inside will move as you spin it and give you a whole different range of sizes available to you on this wrench, as long as the width doesn't exceed the max width here. You also can use this backside as like a little bit of a pry bar or a scraper, kind of. It doesn't have a great super flat edge on it, but I've done it in a pinch a couple times. It's got a very nice clip on the back, although it's not super deep, but I've used that mostly to clip it onto the inside of a pouch so it doesn't clang around with other gear. This can work as like a little fidget toy if you want it to. Just throw it on your finger and spin it around. This is all made out of titanium. For the huge available array of wrench sizes that this allows you to work with, it weighs practically nothing out of that kind of gambit of what size wrenches you would be carrying. It's great if you like to do stuff with bicycles. Perfect kind of tool for a cyclist. The bigidesign EDC wrench. Sticking with bigidesign, here is one of my favorite EDC pens. This is the bigidesign mini pen in brass. This is a twist turn on the back pen that deploys into just the right size pen for you to have that feedback on the back of your index finger for when you're writing. When you're done, just give it a quick little turn, it sucks right back into itself, and it's ready to go. The ink size that they use for these is pretty common. It comes with a micro cord lanyard with this teeny tiny little titanium bead on the back. I guess if you wanted to fidget with it, you could. Not that I think I've ever done that. I'm not super into this lanyard because microcord isn't the easiest thing to work with or get, but it is what it is. I think I'd like this more if it just didn't have a lanyard, but I've not really wanted to limit myself in the ability to pull it out with this, so it's stuck around. But regardless of that, I love this pen. It works really great. It occupies almost no space in your pouch or your pocket. It is a very good little accoutrement to have with you whenever you need to write something down. So, the bigidesign mini pen in brass. So, I'm still waiting to do knives yet, but this kind of bridges the edge between the two, and I sort of want to feature it because it's also by the folks over at bigidesign. This is a collab with Pete's Pirate Life. This is the PPT, or the TPT. This is the Pete's Pirate Tool edition of their multi-tool. Their original one. They have a new version called the TPT Slide. This is not that. There's no slide mechanism on this version here. On the back, we've got a spot where you could use a 1/4-inch bit as a driver. There is this very nice ramped edge here that is both a flathead as well as a nice little pry bar. I've used probably this more than almost any other tool on this tool set, funny enough. If you give this a push right here on the side, see that? It'll actually split this little piece of titanium in half, where you can deploy the razor blade that is on the inside. Check out the sweet lasering on here. It's like a pirate ship with a kraken, the Pete's Pirate Life skull on there. Very cool little addition to this tool, but it slides right back in here. You take this out all of the way. Allegedly, this is a multi-tool wrench similarly to the other product that we saw. You're able to sort of fit it in there. I'm not so sure how well that would work. I've literally never tried it, so I can't tell you, but it is a feature that it's allegedly available. It is a decent bottle opener. I have definitely cracked someone's bottle with this before, so no problems there. And if you're into destroying your knives and using them in a way that you probably shouldn't, having a razor blade setup like this is super nice. On top of that, I have paired it up with a Damn Designs pirate grog bead, which is kind of humorous if you ask me, since this thing is so ungodly thin and this bead is so huge and chunky. It is a very humorous dichotomy between the two. But yes, the Pete's Pirate tool from bigidesign and Pete's Pirate Life here on YouTube. A nice little multi-tool collab piece for you. Alright, here's another odd bridged piece, right? This is a Sharpy, quote unquote. Check this out right here. That looks like a Sharpie, doesn't it? Well, that's actually sharpened G10 material. It will not write, but it will kill, as they say. This is a very sharp and very strong tip that has been replaced on the inside of this pen. I got this from a giveaway from Darth Nader. I think it's by Antique Bloodlust. I'm not sure. I'll double check it and make sure the description is right when I actually put this up. But if you need to go somewhere where you need to be discreet about your weapon and you don't want someone to know, I guess this would be a great option for you. Since there is no metal as well, it's G10. It also gives you that factor on top of that too. So here's just another little tool. Might be in your arsenal. Hey, let's do something a little silly. This is Dabura. He was a once feared villain in the Dragon Ball Z world that was turned into a cookie and then devoured by Majin Buu. This is nothing more than a little piece of plastic that you put into your hand and play with, laugh at, weeb and nerd out over, and put in your pocket dump photos for a little bit of hilarity. So yeah, this is a cookie that came with the Majin Buu action figure when someone got it for me for a birthday present years ago. Alright, I think it's time to dive into some pocket trash, huh? Let's start with omens. Everybody loves omens. This is my Black Cross leather omen slip. It's got the Space Pirate Captain Harlock skull stamped here on the front, and then Sam's Black Cross leather logo stamped here on the back. This has got a wonderful butt stitch that leaves no extra fabric. We've got it hooked up here with a little eyelet and a glow-in-the-dark skeleton bead from Skell EDC attached to it. This is my all-time favorite omen. Why not start with the best and work from there? This is monsterbon. Monsterbon is a full titanium omen with orange on the backside and glow-in-the-dark blue sponge resin on the inside. This has a chaos anodized orange peel finish on the outside. These are technically SFKs, single finger knucks. The idea is you put them between your first and or second fingers, boom. For me, I use them as literal worry stones. Something that you can just play with and fidget with infinitely, spinning around your finger, gives me all kinds of joy. It is not like any other feeling I can tell you that any of these other knucks have in the omen department. So yes, this is monsterbon. Up next, this is cosmosaic. Cosmosaic is a brass omen that has a space shipwreck patina on it. Kenyon said it best, it's like it's leather, but it's metal. Very hard to explain how this texture feels. Super unique, super cool. Little floating glow-in-the-dark rocks embedded on the inside of this guy. Not nearly as beautiful in the day as it is in the night. This backside glows unbelievably. Maybe it's time to show off a glow-in-the-dark flashlight and what it's for, huh? It's a little monsterbon glow. Here's how monsterbon looks glow in the dark. Watch how dramatic cosmosaic comes to life with the UV light. Like thousands of little stars in a galaxy, all contained in one tiny little omen. And once again, I feel like the 3D effect of these floating stones is really hard to capture. You kind of just have to see them up close in person. But they are little floating in the void of the abyss of space, glowing space rocks. I have the honor of naming the cosmosaic. Definitely keeping this one forever. This is the blood omen. A full copper, blood-washed, single finger nook. cosmonewt hand makes all of these pieces. Each one is different and unique, but he'll do a run where he'll try and do the same process on a group of them, so you'll often see siblings with omens. And this is an XL size. It does not glow, but because of it being an XL, I'm able to fit a lanyard much easier on it. I've paired it up with one of my favorite copper beads from Justin Koch. This is his ball noose bead. And I've got just a little cheapo Amazon bead I got earlier in my EDC career here as a slack bead between that, and it's just enough gap that the full XL size is able to spin perfectly. Having a lanyard on it, you can kind of hold it a little bit better and not fear you're going to drop an extremely expensive, super heavy paperweight like this. But yes, this is cosmonewt's blood omen. It does not glow in the dark. And finally, the fourth and final omen in my collection currently. I'm not so keen on using this bead here, but Kev just gave me this bead and I wanted to take some pictures of it and I wanted to put it with an omen. This is a brand new bead that he just made. I said, Kev, you used to make some of the coolest beads around. What happened? And he got inspired to make a new one, he said. He wanted to do something that showed off the material, quote unquote. Mission accomplished, buddy. This is a geohmen. Geomens are a style that Kev does where he embeds actual mineral material into his omens. This one is also a piece of brass that has some kind of crazy spaceship wreck patina on it. But with a slack on this guy, it's not so easy to spin it in your fingers anymore. My son calls this the omen because I don't take this omen out. It lives in my home. This is real quartz that has been found by Kev himself in the Adirondacks by his parents' house while backpacking. Alright, let's hit the lights and see. As you should expect, the green portion of this bead glows like the dickens. Kev takes his glow super seriously. And very much like my cosmosaic, the backside of this is a beautifully bright star field. The backsides normally are super intensely bright, but just for a short period of time, it fades out quicker than the reverse side. Now, I kind of feel like the quartz is ruined by the glow-in-the-dark effect in the dark. You almost can't see the purples because the greens glow so hard. This is definitely an omen that I prefer not to have glow, but it is still super rad when you see it. So yeah, this might be my second favorite omen, the Quartz Geohmen by cosmonewt Kevin. Just a quick little omen power fist for you. Show off size differences. These three are all standards, and then one XL. Omens. Some of my favorite pocket trash. Space junk, as Kev calls them. Let's go deep into the bowels of the pouch and find a little prick. This is a pocket cactus from Darth Nader, made from dank blanks. cool composite resin piece in the shape of a cactus. Just a little piece of art, a worry stone to carry with you in your pouch or pocket, throw in your photos, stuff like that. I have another piece in here, also from Darth Vader, another little prick, a little bit bigger. Also resin from Dank Blanks. Got this one paired up with a donut bead by Beans EDC. This is just another cool little piece of pocket trash for you to fidget with, look at, throw in your photos, and enjoy. I definitely have a thing for crazy looking micarta and resin. I just think that stuff is so fun to look at. And when you make art out of fun material, you get fun art, in my opinion. So, let's take a look at some stuff my friends made. This is also by Black Cross Leather. Sam calls these the Pew Pew. Got it hooked up here with a 3D printed skull bead by Justin Koch. This was actually a cool drawing that he did that he converted into a 3D render and then printed. I felt like the green and gold vibe totally went together well. Pew Pews are just a fun fidget toy to play with that could technically probably be a single finger knuck as well. This is 3D printed TPU plastic, so it's pretty durable and pretty strong, but at the same time, like, you wouldn't worry about dropping this or knocking this or breaking this if you did. Sam makes these in all kinds of colors. I've seen them in 2 and 3 color combos. I've seen them in solids, and they're just a fun little thing to play with, especially when you got a long lanyard here on the back to spin with. He made a smaller version for my son with one of my orders. I thought that was a really nice gesture for him to do. You can totally do these ambidextrously on either hand if you're a lefty or a righty. They're just a fun little piece of pocket trash for you to play with. The Pew Pew by Black Cross Leather. Because it just wants to fall out, I'm going to show you my first Curator Flex. This is the gray JRW Gear Curator Flex. This is the PVC plastic version of his Curator Worry Coin / Worry Stone. The PVC plastic version makes these very malleable. They get like a stress ball kind of effect to them on top of being such a cool texture worry stone for you to play with. I definitely just sort of pick these out of my pocket, flip them, catch them, finger roll them, squeeze them, do things like that while I'm on dog walks, while I'm talking at work, while I'm trying to unconsciously think about something. They're just very cool little pieces of pocket junk. And as I said, I've got a flex in gray. I've got a flex in OD green. I've got a flex in coyote brown. I've got a flex in bubblegum pink and a flex in hazmat yellow. So taste the rainbow on my Curator Flex collection. So yeah, taste the rainbow. That's my Curator Flex collection. The hazmat yellow, bubblegum pink, coyote brown, OD green, and gray all day. Up next, we've got the greatest bottle opener of all time. This is a solid piece of anodized titanium created by the real Chad Zust. This is the Flying Fuck bottle opener. Mine is green, gold, and purple anodized titanium with some kind of fuckface, crazy, tumbled appearance. It's very hard to get on camera, but it's got a smooth feel to it, but a visual textured appearance with that anodizing. And you never give a fuck, so people always give you your bottle opener back when you hand them a flying fuck. So, I don't drink a lot, but when you need a bottle opener when you're going to a show or you're going to visit somebody at a party and you know you're going to be around a bunch of people drinking, it's good to bring a bottle opener with you. At least I think so. It's fun. You probably could use this for self-defense. I don't know. It probably doesn't have a good grip. It doesn't have a super great grip. You definitely could use this as like a scraper or a pry bar on these edges. I definitely have. You can see there's a little bit of wear and tear here on this edge. But yep, a fun little tool by Vandal LLC. I actually found out about the real Chad Zust from his bro, Will Maulini from Maulini Mob EDC. Along with a few other designs, Will makes these skelly vamps. This is another bottle opener slash SFK design, but this one is definitely designed for the middle of your hand, gives you a lot more coverage across. The correct way to actually wield one of these is on your half knuckles. Kind of swing back and come like that. These wonderful little tiny bat blade points here at the top will take care of the rest for you. This design has what he calls a battle finish on the titanium, with another blue-green anodized finish on it. These come in a whole wide variety of styles. Will kind of does each one a little bit different. You can see here's the bottle opener portion. I've definitely used this guy as a bottle opener a number of times. Got a bead once again from Butterfield Machine with this one. This is just a simple knurled bead that I also did a force patina on. The bead is comboed up with a little bit of undead paracord from Board Paracord. These are great little fidget spinners as well too. They are very fun to just whip back and forth between your fingers. It's definitely one of those things where you feel more safe and secure when you're going on a walk and you have a very heavy duty thing like this in your pocket with you just in case. So yeah, this is the Skelly Vamp from Maulini Mob EDC. Somewhere in this pouch I have another piece from Will. Yep, here it is. I definitely want to feature them back to back. This was my original piece from Will. This is the Marauder. This is a piece of, I think this is bronze actually. Very similar design but smaller. Got the bottle opener here. We've got the 3-finger across design. Definitely designed for the half knuckles. When you have one of these lanyards, you sort of set it across the bottle opener point, so it kind of gives you that little bit of extra protection on the inside of your hand so you don't get any feedback from when you're hitting something. I've definitely tested this on a few trees and left quite a gnarly scar on the bark. Fun little fidget toys, bottle openers, accoutrements to your pocket junk collection by Will Maulini of Maulini Mob EDC. The Mini Marauder. We'll just do a quick size comparison between those two. You can see there's quite the difference there, but they both get the job done. They're both fun. They're very cool pieces. And like I said, Will does these in different sizes and different styles with different finishes and different anos. Alright, let's talk about cookies. This is the 52 Graves Death Cookie V1, paired up with the 52 Graves V1 Death Cookie Bead. These are just little worry stones in the shape of a familiar cookie. Just like the Curator Flex, they're malleable pieces of PVC plastic that you can use to fidget with and squeeze, be a stress ball, some sort of anxiety relief totem thing to just get your nervous energy out on. With these, I like to put a lanyard and a bead on them, so you get that ability, once again, to spin stuff. You can't tell, I have a thing for spinning things in my hands all of the time. It's a nervous habit that I enjoy to do. And yeah, these cookies definitely fit that bill. This is the V1. The white part glows in the dark. I also have that new, the Woo Cookie. Woo Cookie Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. This is the 52 Graves Woo Cookie. Instead of being a traditional Oreo style design, this is emboldened with the Wu-Tang Clan's crest. I've paired that up with just a generico off SD 3D printed Wu-Tang bead because I gotta have a bead on my cookies. Once again, put it on your finger, makes a cool little fidget spinner. Very fun to spin around on your hands, to squeeze, to get your anxiety and nervous energy out with. The 52 Graves Death Cookie series. There are a ton of them, but I have 2. Here's a collab between 2 of my favorite makers that I managed to snag both halves of. JRW Gear and Playge both decided, hey, we make beads, what happens if we try and make each other's beads? So Clay took Jamie's traditional curator style bead design and threw this sweet spiral skall design on the back of it. If you look into that Look how tiny those innermost skulls get. The detail in this is ridiculously rad. And then on the other side, just a aged anodized curator. Attached to the other side, Jamie said, well, what if I took Clay's skull design and curated it, as my son says, and put those sweet pyramids all over the front. I really like the subtle details, like the placement of the nostril holes, the way the lanyard shows between the eyes. I just definitely think they both completely nailed it on this. So Danny Shred showed me that you can basically take one of these and then any other bead and tie them together to make your own sort of little worry totem just out of beads. This is a very cool little design. The curator bead has all kinds of texture, and the metal ones have a little bit of heft to them, and it just makes it a very nice, very satisfying little tactile worry stone. So yes, the JRW Gear Plague collab beads worry stone. That same color scheme, we've got the Damn Designs Tombstone. Got that paired up with another JRW Gear Curator bead, but this is his heavy metal logo design. So the Tombstone is another SFK, as I said, designed by Damn Designs. It's a clicker in heart. It has this removable faceplate that has two magnets embedded onto it. And the other side of the Tombstone has a spot where there's a bottle opener fixture here, as well as a place for you to either use it as a fidget toy, or once again, use it as an SFK. It has a very nice battle scar sort of finished to it. This is either a bronze or a brass piece that has been blackened. I've put this thing through its paces a number of times. My wife absolutely hates the sound of this clicker. It drives her insane. But yes, I want to talk about something that has some real heft to it. Wow, this guy is a chonker and a half. But it's definitely a fun piece that you can spin and play with. Yeah, it works great as a piece of art that you can open bottles with, hold papers down on your desk, fidget spin, and take cool Instagram photos with. So yes, the Damn Designs Tombstone and JRW Gear bead combo. From my dude Andrew Hamilton of EDC Booze, we've got his Blood Money micarta boo. This is a hand-cut piece of micarta that is made out of real shredded US currency and the blood of Andrew's enemies. Yeah, these things are fun little fidget spinners and SFKs. Be it metal, be it micarta, you can use just about anything as a fidget spinner and a tool to punch somebody in the face these days, right? I've heard you can pop bottles with these things, but I wouldn't try with a piece of micarta this thin. But it is definitely a fun little fidget spinner. I love the design. I think that the aesthetic is perfect. Nothing I have but positive things to say about Andrew and his EDC booze. In that same vein, we've got two things that are very similar. These are my two micarta Notorious EDC beer bombs. I have one in brown natural micarta and then black denim micarta. So these guys have a number of features built into them. The backside is like a nail puller and scraper. We've got like a glass breaker with a little lanyard hole in it. These things also could be just sort of used as scrapers and pry bars on their own. The front of the mouth is a bottle opener. We've got a 1/4-inch hex bit here for the eye, and the nose is actually a flat-headed screwdriver. There's also a hole in them. Allegedly, they could be, again, used as an SFK, but I don't think that I would, especially a piece of micarta as thin as this one is. This is half the width of the EDC Boo one. Now, Tom at Notorious EDC makes these out of metal, and the metal ones are actually very practical as a multi-tool, but these micarta ones are just pocket art and fidget toys. This black denim micarta one matches perfectly with one of my knives. It's what had me originally get it. And this brown one here is just a vibe. I have this one paired up with a matching brown micarta bead from Combat Beads. This is the revolt bead. This bead just spins, nothing else to it. What makes it a combat bead? I don't know. Allegedly, Griffin just looks like their stuff is weapons and their beads. No special use to them, nothing like that. But the counterbalance on this with a bead is excellent. You can spin without one. You saw me do it with the gray one, but is this better? Like 1,000,000%. It just takes the tiniest little bit of up and down finger effort to get this guy spinning. Catch it in your hand with the half between finger move and use that to get a little bit of momentum going one way or the other. These things will just spin forever. One of my favorite little pieces of pocket trash, fidget toys, the beer bomb from Notorious EDC. Just such a cool, iconic design, and a good dude, all around honest human here in the EDC community. From Jude's Foods, we've got micarta bacon. This is just a lovely piece of micarta that has been engineered to look like a strip of bacon. We've got layers and layers of cross-cut vintage Westinghouse micarta that has been dremeled into the shape of a piece of bacon. Jude's Foods is a father and son group where the two of them just have some fun making micarta look like food. And any kind of exercise where a father and son get to spend some time together, have some laughs, have some fun, I am pro helping those situations take place. Micarta is decently scratch resistant. You'll notice I've dropped this one a couple times here, but it definitely takes a licking and keeps on ticking. This thing is rock solid. But yes, micarta bacon from Jude's Food, just a nice little worry stone to put into your pocket. This is the Dreadnought from Vice Anvil Tactical. This is just a little piece of aluminum that has a number of tool features. First of all, we've got like a little pry bar, scraper, shovel type tool here. A bottle opener here on the front. We've got a 1/4-inch hex bit. I think that this is actually a cutter tool of some sort. I'm not really sure. And then, of course, we've got the spin action, because you can't have an EDC tool that doesn't have a big hole in it for you to turn into an SFK. I don't think that you really could use this one as an SFK at all. As thin as it is, as round as it is, as uncomfortable, you would stab yourself in the hand. But it definitely gives it that keychain fidget toy ability. You could hook this onto a ring and have this be a little multi-tool on your keys, or keep it like this and spin it on your fingers like I do. What percentage of this video will be me just spinning stuff, I wonder? But this is the Golden Pirates edition of the Vice Anvil Tactical Dreadnought multi-tool. Getting low in here. From my dude Brian of the Pacific Northwest Toast Company, we have my newest toast. This is made out of stabwood micarta, which is stabilized wood, a layer of black micarta, a layer of copper, and then a layer of cross-cut black micarta. You can see that this guy is just a beautiful little piece of vintage micarta that's been shaped into something that sort of looks like a toast. Brian doesn't like to waste materials, so all of the center pieces of the toasts become the counterbalance bead that goes on the back side of them. Once again, we've got the same lineup of materials on this one. I really love the way that copper liner makes this thing pop. So, once again, spin it on my finger. The toast is a fidget spinner. It is a single finger knuck. A lot of people say that this is supposed to grip in between your two fingers, but my hands are small and that doesn't fit properly for me. I like it like this. I think that this one is a pretty good size. You have a decent amount of bottom of your hand feel on the backside of this as you crush into whatever it is, and made out of micarta. These are fun little worry stones that allow you to get out your nervous energy, spin them around, have a good time, look at some very cool, super unique materials, all put together by a good dude who has a very fun Facebook group. So yeah, that is the Pacific Northwest Toast Company Stabwood Toast. Also got the OG peanut butter and jelly toast. When I first met Brian, he had books, and people were waiting to be able to get a piece of toast from him. Now he does nothing but lottos because those books are closed. But I actually was the last person to get in on one of those, and I had him custom make me this, as close to peanut butter and jelly as we could get. We've got some burlap micarta deep in the inside, some cherry red strawberry, and then just some plain old cross-cut linen for the exterior. As you can see, we've got that beautiful matching bead. I put some Kingdom by Board Paracord on this one to complete that aesthetic. Now, you'll notice that this one is a lot chonkier. They've gotten smaller and smaller on the backside as time goes on. I think he wants to try and differentiate himself from AFK a little bit. That's conjecture. I'm not really sure if that's true or not. Here's my little loaf stack of 2 toasts. You can see the size difference between these two. They have been shrinking recently. But definitely fun little worry stones for you to play with. Pacific Northwest Toast Company, micarta toast. So let's talk about coins. This is the blacked out Admiral coin by Mendoza EDC. This is just a large coin that you use as a worry coin, a fidget toy, or whatever other kind of thing that you would do with a coin. My first coin from Black Flag EDC. This is the code coin. It says, follow the code, tell the truth in Latin on the backside. And then it's got this cool compass design on the other side. Love this design. Very neat. This actually lives with my Pete's Pirate Life key. There's another coin. This one is from Black Flag EDC. This is the V4 Shattered coin. It's got this pirate on the backhand side, grabbing a little kid. Got that pirate aesthetic. Just another little worry coin. Similar size, kind of large for a coin. On the smaller side, we've got that Pete's Pirate Life, Fly the Flag, the best things in life aren't things coin. This is just a little copper coin, a bit bigger than a penny. This is my green egg. This is from Breakfast Club EDC. Brody over at that group has a ton of different designs of these egg coins. They're not all just colors. They have all kinds of cool things. He's always doing giveaways and having things. People seem to really love this group. Cool way to get into EDC Pocket Junk is with a worry coin from Breakfast Club. Speaking of cool coins by cool people, this is my EDC Booze coin by my dude Andrew Hamilton over at EDC Booze. It's got his boo hate text on the backhand side, and his single finger knuck with a sort of mirror polish finish to it. Very unique coin, interesting kind of size feeling to it, just a little different than coin just see most of the time. This is one of my faves. This is from Quest & Company. The map coin, I guess is what it's called. The back here, there's like a treasure map. X marks the spot. Mountain ranges, some trees, some cool pirate-esque symbolism. Just a cool little worry stone, pocket trash, photo op kind of thing. Finally, the last coin is actually the first coin in my collection. This belonged to my grandfather. This is my original worry coin, his World War II silver dollar. Look at how worn away this coin is. There is nothing on the edge here. Her face is almost completely gone. You can barely see the eagle on the backside. My grandfather was the one who originally told me the power of a worry stone and a fidget coin and things of that nature. He's the one who showed me the techniques I call object grounding, which I've read about since then. But my grandfather is the OG worry coin dude who got me into all this pocket junk. And this is his coin that I inherited from him. I don't carry this. This lives in my collection as a memento of my grandfather. I love you, Elmo. Up next, from Zero Feud, we got ZF Snaps. These are 2 little neodymium magnets that have been embedded into these 2 pieces of precision machined aluminum and then tumbled. That's about all there is to it. These are a little tactile, clicky type of fidget toy where all you have to do basically is allow the 2 magnets to pull themselves back together. It's definitely a fun little tactile experience to just let these guys roll around and find their attractor however they can. Makes different noises depending on how you let them snap back together, how easily or how hard you let them do it. They're magnets. No one knows how they work, but they are definitely fun to play with, and I enjoy ZF snaps quite a bit. Check these out. He makes them in a bunch of different metals, a bunch of different finishes. Very cool little piece of pocket trash. One of my all-time grails has to have its own slip. This is my Lautie Shuffle Slip, once again by Sam of Black Cross Leather. You can see that Space Pirate Captain Harlock's skull stamped on it, and his little skull, or his little cross here on the back. Once again, we've got a nice butt stitch, no wasted space. He's included one of his hand-spun Ultum shroom beads. It also bears his little cross logo on the top of it. Give this guy a little squeeze on the bottom, and out comes the GOAT fidget toy, the Lautie Shuffle Pocket Aces Edition. This is brass and copper. These are just two pieces of metal with magnets embedded in them that just effortlessly slide back and forth. These are not exactly an ambidextrous fidget toy. They only kind of go one way, so if you're going to play with them left-handed, you almost have to do it backwards, but it's definitely an experience that you can do. But I just have to mention, it's a right-handed fidget toy with the way that it's designed. But it is absolutely my favorite tactile and audible experience when it comes to fidget toys. There's something about the precision machining, the design, the metals, the materials, just everything about the whole thing is just so nice and so pleasing. It is definitely a loud and annoying fidget toy. You can make all kinds of terrible noises and annoy the people in your life with them, but you yourself will absolutely love every minute of playing with the Lautie Shuffle. I got the nitecore hammer. This is a tool that comes with Lautie Shuffle and other Lautie EDC gear. It's like a tightening thing that you actually use for the screw, and it has an interesting screw on it. Right here on this corner, this is actually the hinge that allows this thing to function. And if you want to adjust the tension on this, it's a really weird size, so they give you a special tool to be able to do that. It is what it is, but it is an interesting little tool that is in my collection. Down low, we've got my ex-favorite multi-tool. This is the Next Tool Mini. So this guy I thought was going to be my all-time favorite multi-tool. It was for a really long time, until I sadly broke the pliers. I got too crazy with them and cracked it. You might not even be able to see it. It's actually on this side right here. That's why you can't see it. I cracked this piece of metal here. I don't think these pliers are much longer for this world now because of that. But I did so many jobs with this tool. I normally would love to tell you that this is a great tool and you should get one, but it didn't last me a whole year, and that's kind of disappointing. But for when I did use it, I loved this spring action here on these pliers. They work great for little electronics kind of jobs, which is what you're supposed to do with them, which I did mostly. If you flip them over here and then open them the other way, there's a really nice beefy pair of scissors on the back side. It's got this cool like double design where you can open it one way or the other to get either the pliers or the scissors. They're both available to you from the outside of the tool, which is super nice. We've got a full Phillips head screwdriver here on the side. It's like a medium size. You can do a decent amount of work with that. On the other side here, you've got your file and flat-headed screwdriver. I wish this was just a little bit bigger, but it does the job pretty well. The file section is super nice. The other side here, we've got our crazy multi-bottle opener, can opener, pry bar, scraper tool type thing. And rounding it off here on the other side is the knife. It's a little drop point kind of shaped knife. Don't know if I've used this more than twice to open a box or two, because I carry a knife with me regularly. But This multi-tool has been great for a super long time. I'm really disappointed that I'm not going to be saying you should get this tool because I cracked these pliers. But the next tool mini is a definitely pocket pouch friendly size multi-tool. I think that's it for the fidget toy section of this collection. I think it is time to get into knives. I have saved them till the very end. This right here is the civivi kiwi, probably my smallest knife in my collection. Got it paired up with a glow-in-the-dark playge skull bead. This is G10. It doesn't glow in the dark, but the bead just looks so good with it, so I put them there together. You can see this perfectly straight blade angle here, jumping on the back, an extremely deep carry clip, and a super cool futuristic design. This is a front flipper double detent friction folder. What that means is right here is your opening mechanism. It's a front flipper, so on the front right here, just give it a push and it will flip open. Double detent means there's one detent ball here, which gives it that sort of faux lock, and another one here that gives it the second part of that lock. So the knife isn't going to close even though there's no actual lock on it. And when you open it, you have to overcome those two double detent balls for it to open. And it is a friction folder because of that. There's no locking mechanism on it. So this is just a very nice, small, pouch pocket friendly knife that I carry with me on the regular. The civivi kiwi in G10. Up next on that green aesthetic, we've got the Spyderco Jester in actual glow-in-the-dark FRN with another glow-in-the-dark PVC squishy plague bead this time. This is a really interesting saber grind blade shape that Spyderco has discontinued. The knife joker Travis actually petitioned them to get his own special edition version of this knife made and released only from his store. The glow-in-the-dark edition is really cool. It glows pretty bright, but it's not super useful since a knife is something that sort of just lives in your pouch or in your pocket all of the time. You can't tell from me flicking with it, this is a backlock knife, which means you gotta depress right here and get your thumb out of the way before. The Spidey hole is flickable. I definitely like the thumb flick a little bit more for when you try and close it. My trick for this is when I close it, I try and hit my nail and just let the nail be the guillotine spot, pull it out of the way, and be done. This is one of my least favorite action knives. Backlocks are not my favorite, but a glow-in-the-dark knife, how could I say no to that? So let's just do a quick little glow test right here. I will blast this with my rovyvan aurora and show you glow my. So yeah, the glow-in-the-dark Spyderco Jester. And we're back. I had to format my card because I ran out of space on the entire SD card of the camera. This is my Koch Tools Wasp by Justin Koch. This is Jean the Wasp Queen. Koch Tools Wasp in Digicam G10 with AEB-L steel. Cool speed holes. A very nice slicey belly on this grind here. Some lovely jimping here on the back. We've got that comboed up with a plague and Justin Koch combo bead. This is the skall can, the skull on the top, and the spray paint can on the bottom. It's a 3D printed bead. You can see Justin only sharpens the one side of the blade. It gives it a very unique sort of blade profile because of that. These are very small little knives. They are friction folders, which means there's no lock on them. The lock bar here on the back of the knife just sort of works as a stop pin for this pivoting edge right here. That's all there is to it. If you live in a place where your knife has to be with under a certain size or not have a lock, this is a perfect little knife for you. Now let's compare that to my other Koch tools. Up next on the Justin Koch front, this is Natalie. Natalie is a Koch Tools Nat. Another friction folder. This one is also hand ground from AEB-L steel. Yes, I'm reading that off the back of the blade because I have no idea what kind of tool steel that is. The Wasp has a very different blade profile than the Nat here does, and what an amazing radical grind Justin's put on this. I love this aged, haggard finish. One of my favorite little things about this knife here on the back is the lasered PA skull that Justin put onto this knife. I Appreciate you, buddy. Now, as I said, Justin normally only sharpens the one side. I actually put another edge on the back side of this knife when I went to sharpen it. I actually dropped it and put a little chip in the tip and was embarrassed to tell Justin that I chipped his knife and tried to do it myself. So I've got this paired up with another playge bead because I think those guys are friends. This here is titanium that has been aged as well. And I didn't mention the beautiful reylight micarta scales. Reylight is made out of layers and layers of paper. Very cool. It's still super tough. It's a rugged material. Just like before, these guys are very small. I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison of Natalie and Jean together so you can get a feel for these two knives and their sizes. Very similar profile, but very different blade shape. The handles are slightly different. One is ever so slightly thicker. Because Justin hand grinds these knives, puts different finishes on every single one of them. They're all slightly unique. So these are my two Koch Tools friction folders. Alright, up next, let's stick with micarta. This is my Fox Knives Baby Core in natural linen micarta. This knife has been designed by Jasper Voxnaes, made by Fox Knives in Italy. We've got a really nice brass back spacer. I've added a Lynch Northwest deep carry clip with a bronze ano onto the back of this. And I've paired that up with a Combat Beads full-sized concealed micarta bead. It's called concealed because the actual knot of the lanyard is concealed within the inside of the bead. You can see there's a little bit of recess cutting here in the inner part of the scales where the liner lock lives on either side right there. Maybe you can see it. But yeah, just a nice standard little liner lock. Very nice. Works very well with this knife. So this knife has two deployment methods. There is a flipper tab here on the back and then a spidey hole on the front. You can see the Voxnaes logo here on the acid washed blade. The beautiful Fox Knives logo here on the front. Check out the belly on this knife. A very, very nice sort of Warncliffe shaped blade. Very slicey blade profile. I dig the size of this knife. It feels very nice in the hand. I'm just kind of over flipper tabs. I've considered doing a flipper delete on this knife before because I like 99% of the time use my my middle finger to flick this knife open this way on the backside. But if not, I'll use my thumb to flick it. I almost never use this flipper tab. The only thing that's nice about this flipper tab is it's super smooth. You just sort of run your finger along the spine of the knife and the whole thing just shoots right out. Not a drop shutty knife though by any means. Beautifully smooth, but you need to take your finger on the backside of this knife and close it yourself. But either way, an amazing knife, one of my favorites, the Fox Knives Baby Core in natural linen micarta. Keeping with the micarta still. This is the Giant Mouse Knives Ace Clyde in natural linen micarta as well. I've oiled these scales a little bit by hand myself. I left some here behind the clip because I wanted to see a little bit of difference in the detail. I think I overdid it a little bit and want to dry it out some, but I'm enjoying it. I'm also not a huge fan of the wire clip. That's why I replaced it on the Fox. I just haven't got around to it. This one has a beautiful orange aluminum anodized back spacer. I paired that up with a Plague and Justin Koch Sacred Terror Skull. This one is Zerblast titanium. This is a single deployment mechanism knife. Only one thumb stud. It's got that same orange anodizing on the back, but check out the sweet little saber grind on this knife. It is super not drop shitty as well, but at the same time, beautifully smooth action. The deployment is effortless. Like, I'm not a huge thumb stud kind of flick guy. It took me a while to really figure out my paces on a thumb stud. This was the knife that really showed me how. I like to put my thumb right here under the edge as I sort of flick it out. I don't use my nail. I use the lowest part of the meat on my thumb right there. This knife is great. I enjoy it a lot. It is very slim and slender in the pocket. This will fit in a pouch if you take the bead and put it sideways, but this is a very nice pocket carry knife. Like most of the other knives you've seen so far, this is a liner lock. You can see there's just a tiny little bit of recessing out in the inner part of that scale right there. But this is a very thin set of scales. One of the things that people complain about is this durable enough? Can you squeeze this and move this micarta or whatever? I don't push that hard on my knives, personally, that I need to worry about that myself, but that's an issue people have talked about before, and I don't really have a problem with that. The Giant Mouse Knives, Natural Linen Micarta, Ace Clyde. Sticking with that micarta aesthetic. This is one of my all-time favorite top 3 knives. This is the Justin Lindquist Kaiser Feist V4 Front Flipper Edition with the drop point blade shape in black denim micarta. Is that a mouthful or what? So check out the deep carry clip on this guy. It's to the edge of those beautiful micarta scales. Got blacked out hardware and a beautiful black DLC coating on this blade. Nice hollow grind on this. Love the drop point version of this Feist. It is my favorite shape of any of Justin's Feists yet. So the lovely Kaiser side also matches very nicely with Justin's side. This is CPM V4 steel. Very nice, very slicey. This blade gets so much action. You'll notice it looks a little bit toothy because I probably need to sharpen it again. This is one of my definite user knives. So it's only got one deployment mechanism again, just that front flipper tab. But oh God, is this the drop shuttiest, most buttery smooth knife that I own. I'm able to deploy it multi-handed, a whole bunch of different ways. Just a great knife all around. I haven't mentioned on the last few knives, they've all been liner locks. I probably should have said that in every single one, but missed that. This, like the others, is another liner lock knife. And I enjoy it. I have no problem with a liner lock. I think that that is absolutely fine. I use the nail technique. When I go to close a knife, I use my thumbnail to actually stop it, then get my thumb out of place before completely shutting the knife. Unless I'm shutting this knife, in which case I do the nail thing and get my thumb out of the way, and then just effortlessly let this thing drop shut on its own. Beautiful knife. Top 3 favorites of all time. The Justin Lindquist Knives Kaiser Feist. I have that paired up with a black micarta bead from Z&C Metalworks. Just a nice little hand-spun black denim micarta bead that perfectly matches the aesthetic of this knife. So fidgety, I can't stop playing with it. I gotta put it down. Alright, let's get out of micarta territory and check out something else. Here is another one of my fave knives. This is the full blackwash titanium Damn Designs Gin. This is the OG Gin, the smaller one. Beautiful knife. I've got that paired up with a Justin Lindquist and Plague collab. Sacred Terror Skull again. This one is blue glow-in-the-dark ghost because it's white on that side. One of the things that's a little different about this knife compared to all the other ones we've seen so far is this is a frame lock instead of a liner lock. The actual frame of the scale comes down here to become the locking mechanism for the knife. Since the whole body is all one solid piece of titanium on either scale, there's no worries about any other parts needed, so all you gotta do is just have this one little cut here, and that is a frame lock. It's a perfect design choice for a little knife like this, to just take the space of the frame that it has, keeps the weight down, nice solid piece of titanium, is not going to wear out, and it works great as a lock for this little guy. This is a front flipper. It's got a little front flipper tab here on the front, but it's not my favorite. I don't like it nearly as much as the other one. I almost exclusively, once again, use the finger flick technique from the back side to open this knife. This knife is pretty smooth. Not quite drop shutty, but it is beautifully, effortlessly closed. It is so smooth. I use the front flipper as a thumb flip, to be honest with you. I'm going to front flip this thing. I'm going to use my thumb to do a thumb flick. Once again, we got a nice little drop point shaped blade profile. Super cool harpoon style grind up here with the jimping on the backside. Looks beautiful, not super comfortable. If I ever end up choking up on this knife, this does not feel great on my thumb if I'm really getting in there, if we're being honest. But I still love this knife. It is just so beautiful. And I love that like futuristic hellscape kind of design with these haggard looking scales. Look at the sweet pivot collar on that. Beautiful octagon shape. The clip's pretty deep carry. It only goes to about here when it's actually in your pocket, but it's pretty good. But this is a wide knife. This harpoon does not feel good against anything else you got in your pocket, so I don't really suggest carrying this in the pocket. This is more of a pouch knife, if you ask me. Alright, let's get silly again. This is the Angry Pickle. This is the Rough Rider Baby B assisted knife. This is the only auto that I have got. It's got a little spring in there, but yeah, this is a cool little drop point knife that is super teeny tiny. Check this out in comparison to my finger. Let's take a look at that in comparison to maybe Jean the Wasp Queen. You can see right there, quite a bit smaller than those other knives. This was a $5 knife that I got on Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and I really enjoyed it. It is so teeny tiny, it'll fit anywhere. You can hide this thing in a multitude of places, and it doesn't take up very much space at all. Believe it or not, for how small it is, it's pretty functional, honestly. The flipper tab here works as a pretty good guard on your finger. I kind of craft knife most of the time anyways when I use a knife, so I've always got my finger here on the top, and I don't really worry about that too much. So, again, this is a liner lock knife. See right here, nice little back spacers, little barrel spacers here on the back. It doesn't weigh very much, it's super tiny. People argue, is this the angry watermelon? Is this the angry pickle? Is it some other thing? You can make your own decision on what you think this micarta looks like. But I call this the angry pickle because it's my knife, and I'm from Picklesburg. Got another weird little knife in here that I don't actually carry, but it is a part of my collection. This is from Heights Cafe in Steubenville, Ohio, which is where I grew up, which was a bar. I think the idea of getting a knife from a bar is ridiculous, but I don't know. I've always kept it because I thought that was so funny. It reminds me of my hometown. This knife is used and abused. It belonged to my wife's Uncle Tony. It's got this sort of slide lock here on the back. You slide it, it's very difficult to operate. You slide it back this way, then the knife is able to close, slide it forward, and then it locks into place. And of course, since it came from a bar, it's got a bottle opener on the other side, keyhole or lanyard tube on the back, and just a weird little knife that I think is an interesting conversation kind of piece, and just not very usable, but still a knife in my collection from Steubenville, Ohio, and Heights Cafe. Can't even get this thing to go away. This thing is rusted, haggard, used and abused, but it is just a collection piece that lives in my trunk. Here's a grail knife, friends. This is the Emerson Knives Sneak Reaper Industries Edition Blackout Elvia folding knife. This is the V2 of the Elvia. The original one was not blacked out. It had a silver sort of blade shape coating on it. This one has a black DLC coating. Beautiful, cool Sneak Reaper Industries logo right there on the edge of this. I guess you'd call that a hawkbill Crambit style blade shape. This knife has some really interesting features to it. First, let me start by saying, though, that, of course, I've got this paired up with another Playge skall. This one is actually 3D printed PLU plastic. I really like this one. It's super lightweight, but yet super strong. It's not squishy at all. Anyhow, I've got a longer lanyard on this for a kind of tactical reason. It makes it a lot easier to just pull this thing right out of the pocket. So, this knife is on washers, and it is drop shutty. And I like to call this thing the Reaper's toenail, because why not? This knife is very fidgety for what it is. So if you want to get this knife in the proper combat grip, you'll notice right here there's a lovely little ridge that is perfectly made for your finger, for your thumb to go right on the top to get you that leverage that you would need to really use this knife in its proper tactical sense. Now, you're saying to yourself, okay, so if it's a bottom-style grip, wouldn't that mean when you flick this knife open that you're going to have to flick, then flip to get it in the appropriate grip? The answer is yes, or no, if you practice and learn how to do the thumb flick. I'm sorry, the pinky flick. Let me do that again. Did you miss that? Let me try again. If you learn how to do the pinky flick. And that is locked. I definitely have locked this knife. I trust that I pinky flicked that correctly. I have practiced enough times that I feel proficient to be able to open this with my pinky. This knife is kind of a safe queen. It's probably my most expensive knife. It's definitely my most unique knife. It's the most illegal knife that I have. Here in Pennsylvania, we have laws about what you can use a knife for and having some sort of proper purpose and intent for it. This knife is hard to argue anything else other than a weapon, so it's not something that I carry all of the time. But if we came into a situation where I actually wanted to try and use a knife for combat, this would be the only choice that I would really pick. The Emerson Knives Sneak Reaper Industries Custom Blackout V2 Elvia. Getting low here, we're almost out of knives. Here's another one of my favorite knives. This is the Civivi Baby Banter, designed by Ben Banters. This is the What Is Up Guys edition of his knife. Nafs.com is his little shop where he designs and sells his own designs, but Civivi also sells them themselves. This is a super lightweight knife. It's got G10 handles, it's got a reversible, super deep carry clip. Look how deep that clip is. Very nice. A little lanyard hole here. I've got it with another one of those PVC playge skulls that are hard but still 3D printed. Pretty cool blacked out aesthetic. Got a little touch of white on the paracord because why not? So this is a thumb stud deploy knife, not my favorite, but it's fine. There are thumb studs on both sides, so if you are a lefty or a righty, you can spidey flick the backside of a thumb stud if you really want to. I don't know why. I think that is much more difficult than using a thumb flick, but whatever, it's your choice. This knife has a very nice choil right here in the front. Once again, the jimping comes right up to the edge. This one's a little closer. You might be able to cut yourself if you tried hard enough. But very nice spot right here to get a choked up grip on this little knife. But little knife aside, this goes all the way to my pinky. The bead is just for pure aesthetics and accessibility when it comes to getting it in and out of the pocket. This knife is just the right size for my size small glove hands. There is a larger size version of this knife, the Banter, but with me and my small size hands and love of little knives, the Civivi Baby Banter is one of my faves. This knife is also a liner lock. Let's see right there, there's a little bit of recessing that's been done in the G10 right there. One little liner on the backside. Very easy to close. And this knife, super drop shutty. I haven't been doing it a lot, but man, just barely. Closes right on a dime, very easily. I dig this knife in a lot. It is nice and small, it is super light, the all blacked out aesthetic is super cool, deep carry clip, small little footprint, good ergonomics, value price, one of my highest recommended knives, also designed by a good dude, Ben Banters, very cool guy. Check out nafs.com, link in the description like all this other crap. So what's your favorite knife, Zero? Honestly, it's one of two knives. It's either this knife right here, the Spyderco Pair of 3, or the next one that I'm going to show, which if you know my knife collection, you know what it's going to be. But I want to talk about this knife. This knife gets the most use out of any other knife that I have. Here in Pittsburgh, in the north side, Wednesday is my trash night. So when it comes for me to actually do a hard use job where I need to cut a bunch of boxes up for recycling, this is the knife I pick every single week. I try to bring myself to try and use other knives, but this knife, for a bunch of different reasons, is my pick and my go-to knife for when I actually have a serious hard use job to do. So this knife has a very interesting blade shape. It is just ever so slightly upturned to give that a beautiful slicey sort of belly. There's a ramp here on the back with jimping on it, which really gives you great downward leverage on your knife when you're doing a cut. You have a couple different grip options. There's a ramp right here that is perfectly, that's where my hand was, but there's also this lovely choil right here that you can choke up on and really get yourself on a tight grip. There's a little bit of jimping right here before the sharpening choil, and it's tough for your finger to get onto the blade because of the shape of that. I really, really like that. I find myself accidentally choking up on my knives quite a bit. This knife is the first one we're going to talk about with a unique kind of lock on the back. This is a compression lock. When I first got this knife, I thought this was it. This was the GOAT, that I was never going to go back to any other kind of locking mechanism, that this was just the greatest thing. Like, your fingers are out of the way when you go to close the knife. It just makes so much sense. And I love it. And I think that this is one of the greatest mechanisms when it comes to knives. but I don't think it makes sense for every knife. Now that I've used some other thinner knives, I don't think it would make sense for this knife, for instance, my second or third favorite knife, to really have a lock here on the back. It's just not the kind of grip that it really makes sense for this knife. Having your finger right here just makes sense. I don't know. Just the ergonomics makes sense sometimes for a knife to have a certain type of lock, and I definitely think the Para 3 has the kind of lock that it needs. Now, I've updated this with a deep carry clip from Lynch Northwest as well. I got this anno by somebody else. I can't give him credit for this crappy black job on this. I've got some undead paracord and 2 beads on this bad boy. Another playge skall from Playge proper. This one's got like an aged titanium. And then this from another PA homie, Eddie OEG, the one-eyed ghost dude. This is his keystone bead with what I'm calling the Miami Anno, because this is some beautiful blue and pink and purple anodizing on our state's keystone logo. I love this bead. So cool. So, this knife has a super long lanyard on it for the same reason. When this is in your pocket, it's really easy to just pull this knife out with that lanyard. That being said, this knife is wide as heck. It is not super pocket friendly. As much as I love this knife, I hate to carry this knife in my pocket. If I'm gonna go like camping or backpacking or something where I want to bring a knife like this, I would put this in a bag 1000%. I would pull it out when I need it. But that's just me. That's the kind of guy that I am. I don't like to have a huge knife. This does not fit in, I think, any pouch except for maybe the Mighty pouch. But this knife has such good ergonomics and such good feeling. I can literally open this knife with every finger on both hands. I'm going to go down this list and try and get every single one in a row. I'm going to even do something silly and do a Spidey drop like that. We'll flip it upside down and backwards, and we'll do an index finger flick to open it that way. We'll use the back lock one-handed and shut it this way. Let's go lefty. Start with the thumb, which oddly enough, I think the compression lock's hard to use left-handed. Man, I'm going to mess up left hand, huh? Okay, let's try again. We got the thumb, middle finger, index finger. Yes, I'm doing the drop. Don't give me crap. I'm doing it. I don't care. Yeah, so anyhow, I can open this with almost every finger on either hand, and it's not easy, I admit. With practice you can do it, but I'm trying to get the point across that this knife is very flexible for ambidextrous use from lots of people. There are holes on both sides, on the top and the bottom. You could do clip up, clip down, left hand, right hand, however you want with this Para 3 stock as it is here. There are tons of aftermarket scales and additions that you can do. I keep thinking I'm going to get new scales for this knife, but I've just never done it. There's just something it's almost perfect as it is, so I haven't really messed with it. So hard to beat perfection. So that's my Spyderco Para 3. One of my all-time favorite knives. Now, I actually got to go into the pouch in my real pocket today to talk about the knife that probably takes the crown jewel seat in my collection. This is my McNeese Knives custom B-Maskist anodized green Spyderco McB. Got that paired up with another combat bead. This is a smaller concealed bead with green micarta. Oh, is that beautiful or what? I think this combo looks so good. This knife is tiny, but functional as heck. I really like this straight edge kind of shape and this beautiful finger ramp here on the front for you to cut with. This jimping serves no purpose when it comes to actually using. The jimping has been added for me to be able to do finger flicks or to be able to do thumb opening with that little jimping spot that's been added to the top. I actually really like that. That is not a stock Spyderco thing that I think should be. What is interesting about this knife is I think the Spidey flick is harder on this knife than any other Spyderco that I have. Look at the way the lock is right across the hole. You'd think they'd have like lowered it just a little bit to give you some more nail room. I can do it, sure, but it's not nearly as nice as the thumb opening. I just can do that so much easier. I can make the knife ring with a thumb opening. Great thing about a little knife and a bead like this, you can really just let it sort of sit in your hand how you want and let your pinky finger do all of the business when it comes to holding this knife. Once again, we're going back to a classic lock mechanism. This is a frame lock knife, very similar to a liner lock, but the frame of the actual titanium scale is the lock mechanism. There's no internal other pieces in there, just the scale itself becomes the lock for this knife. And boy, do I love it. This is probably my all-time favorite knife. It's definitely my most carried knife. This knife is wide too, I have to admit, but it is so thin. When you put this in a pouch, you can really set another thing beside it almost and overlap them a little bit, and it kind of lays in the bottom of the pouch, and I love this knife. It is the perfect knife that you almost forget that you're carrying because it's so small, but it's there when you need it because you need a knife so often in life. I can't believe I didn't carry them for longer. So yeah, the Spyderco McNeves Knives Custom Edition. Probably my favorite knife. Now, I have one more knife in my collection, but I don't count it the same way I count my other knives because I actually don't use this knife. I've never, ever used this knife. This is a buck 110 that was given to my wife's great uncle from the steel mill. The local Weirton steel mill. After I think 25 years of service working at the steel mill, they gave him this super tank of a knife. This is easily my biggest knife by a large margin. It has a back lock here that's almost like tough to deploy, to close. It's like you really gotta like two-hand this thing. Part of the reason I don't want to ever carry it. And man, is that like, listen to that detail. Like that is a tough knife. But yeah, I've got this buck 110 with these beautiful wooden inlay handles, the sort of copper edging on the outside, the 25-year anniversary Weirton steel, embossing here on the edge. And this is just one of the knives in my collection that you'll probably never see in a pouch dump video because it's just a knife that sits in my collection. But I thought I'd feature it because we are doing a collection tout and I am showing you everything. So that's my buck. We did it, fam! We got through the whole pouch, the whole thing, my entire collection laid out before you. I hope you enjoyed it. Well, that's it. I love making these videos. This is easily my longest one. I wonder if this is going to go an hour long or not, doing an entire collection tout. If you want to give me a like, I appreciate every person who has made it to this part in the video. Like, you are a true trooper. If you would like to be over the 1,000th subscriber to my vlog, click my face down here. Thank you so much to everybody who subscribed. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. If no one has told you today, you are a wonderful person who deserves love and praise just like everybody else in this world. Get out there and do something nice for yourself and for someone else. Have some fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.